What are you more interested in? Being treated like a celebrity? No pictures, please. Dealing with drama all day long? To be or not to be? That is the question. Or helping them to get that paper, diploma, or certificate, that is. In this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of working with each grade level, elementary, middle, and high school. It's my goal to help you figure out which grade level you want to work with, especially if you're a new graduate or an intern looking at a practicum experience. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is John, and I'm a school counselor, and I help you plan out your programs, interventions, and events, and we talk about things education and mental health related here. So first up, let's talk about elementary school, which is one of my absolute favorites. In this role, it is so essential because we build the foundation for social skills, academic habits, and introducing them to college and career. And in my experience, I worked in an elementary school with 1,200 students, and there were 2 counselors, including me. So we had about 600 apiece. So let's start with the pros. One of the pros is that you get treated like a celebrity every time that you're in the building. So when students see you, they want to give you hugs and wave and smile at you, and it makes you feel really special and warm and fuzzy inside. Well, at least for me it did. You get to participate in so many fun events like dress-up days, themes, and little parties, and it's so fun because you can be creative, you can be carefree, you can just be yourself. I love elementary school for that reason. It's always a fun party. Another plus in the elementary school column is that you get to spend a lot of time with your students, whether that's in individual sessions with them, working in small groups, or you do a lot of classroom counseling visits and lessons with them. And it's important because it helps build those foundations for those academic skills, social-emotional learning skills, and college and career readiness practices. One other thing that I really loved about elementary school was the fact that I was a role model. So at my school, again, it was a very large elementary school. Believe it or not, I was only one of 3 black males in that school. I believe representation really matters, especially when you're in a diverse community, because those students had a chance to see themselves in me. Or see me in me. You know what I'm trying to say. Aside from all the fun that's involved with elementary schools, there were some cons that I want to talk to you about. And again, this was just my experience, so take it with a grain of salt. But I hope this helps you. One con was being a 504 coordinator. So if you've ever been a 504 coordinator at a school, it's a very daunting task, especially when you have a large caseload and a lot of students. It's a constant struggle because you have to keep up with dates, deadlines, and have lots and lots of meetings. Again, you're the one facilitating all of those meetings and keeping up with all that paperwork. So it can be a lot, especially when you're doing other duties like classroom counseling lessons or handling crises when a student runs out of the building or does something silly. Another thing about working in elementary schools is often you're the lone ranger. So in my case, I had a partner that I worked with, but a lot of times counselors that I've seen in elementary schools have very large caseloads, like 700 or more, and they're the only counselor in their building. It can be extremely tiring, it can be emotionally draining, and of course, compassion fatigue is real, y'all. And then you may feel like throughout the day, there's not enough time to get the things done that you really need to get done because you're constantly putting out little fires here and there. My least favorite thing about when I was working as an elementary school counselor, and again, this varies by campus, but I was part of the specials rotations. I had a daily set schedule, like where the teachers would get a planning period. It was counseling, art, library, and music, and we all rotated. There were days when I spent the majority of my time teaching classes, so I would teach like 5 or 6 classes a day. And the only problem with that is that it limits your time and your availability to handle crises when they happen or other things because you're teaching a class and you can't stop what you're doing to handle other things. Like you had to be very organized. It can be draining because you're talking all day or doing things, and it can be a lot. I'm gonna actually do a whole video on what it's like to be a part of the specials rotation, and we can talk about pros and cons on that one because I've got way more things that I could share about that. Stay tuned for that. Now let's talk about the sweet spot. For me, that's middle school. I love middle school because it builds upon the foundation that you lay upon in elementary school. Again, helping students with their academic needs, their social and emotional learning, and getting them prepared for a college and career and transitioning into high school. But to me, working in the middle school setting is the perfect mix of working with counseling duties and administrative tasks. So middle school involves creating schedules, making sure that they're on track to transition to high school, preparing them for college and career, like thinking of what choices and things they want to do with their life. So of course, as far as interventions go, you help with the small groups, the individual sessions, and you may or may not do classroom counseling lessons depending on your school. At our school, we use Character Strong, and I help create those lessons, but the teachers are the ones who actually facilitate the lessons during advisory period. So it's very rare that I'll actually go in and teach a class. There's only 2 times that I happen to go teach a class throughout the year, and that's generally when I help students pick their electives for the next year and when I help those 8th graders do their 4-year plans for high school. Another wonderful part about working in middle school is that you help them with their identity and their sense of self. So middle schoolers like to rely on the approval of their friends and their peer group a lot, but you have an incredible influence on the way that they see themselves. So it's really important to be a role model in middle school, and all of them, but especially in middle school when they're figuring out who they want to be. And the last pro that I'm going to talk about is being able to work on a team. So there are 3 counselors on our school campus, and we loop with our kids. So this year I'm the 7th grade counselor. And so that means I'm going to be with that same group of students until they transition to high school, which is amazing because it helps me build relationships with those kids. Now let's talk about the cons. If you've ever heard anybody talk about their middle school experience, you deal with a lot of drama and he said, she said, lots of instigating things. I hate to use this term, but a lot of it is girl drama, like friendship problems and image and all that stuff. And it can be very overwhelming because a lot of times they'll take that stuff home on social media and create group chats and Snapchats and all the different chats. And they'll share ugly things about people, and then that comes back into the school setting and it causes a lot of confusion and disruption. There are times when you can spend your whole day investigating bullying incidences or dealing with stuff that happens on social media. I always say that like social media is excellent, but I hate that our kids have access to it at such an early age because they get into stuff that they shouldn't be getting into. And if you've ever worked in middle school, you will know what I'm talking about. It can be a lot. Also, middle schoolers are very impulsive, so their brains are still growing. A lot of times they react in the moment without thinking about things. They rely a lot on their emotions, so it's really important that we teach them emotion regulation and control and like coping skills and all that. Another con to working with that grade level is you might spend a lot of time working with crisis and self-harm. Honestly, with the way that the world is, I've heard people in elementary and high school talking about self-harm and suicide. So you have to help with that process of connecting them with the resources, making sure that they're okay, creating safety plans. Overall, I really enjoy working in middle school, mainly because with elementary, it's great. You can do a lot of activities and things with them. But middle school, they're able to process and actually have deeper level conversations than you will be able to with elementary school students. So that part I do enjoy. And now the last grade level, which is high school. And I'm gonna be really honest, I don't have a lot of experience with high school. I never really felt like it was a place for me. The only thing that I've ever done in high school was some practicum experience, and I've done some high school subbing. But high school always scared me off because I didn't wanna do all those administrative tasks like transcript review and scheduling all day long. College prep, ACT, working with FAFSA. There's this meme where it's like, is it FAFSA or FAFSA? You know what I'm trying to say. Scholarships and all that stuff is super important, but it just feels like to me in working in high school, you do more of those administrative tasks and you don't have as much time to focus on like small groups or individual sessions. That's coming from my very limited perspective. If you work in high school, drop in the comment section and share your experience with small groups and classroom counseling lessons. Do you get to do those in high school? I don't even know. To me, high school just seems like it's missing the fun that you have in elementary and even middle school. All those events and dress-up days, I would think that high schoolers wouldn't be interested in those things, but again, what do I know? I will say that high school seems like you'll be able to have more meaningful and impactful conversations with them about their future, about their health, their mental health, their well-being, and all of those things because you're helping them navigate through life and prepare for adulthood, which is really important. And in the meantime, if you haven't done so already, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that bell notification so you're aware when I drop new videos. Building a sense of community is one of my most important reasons for starting this YouTube channel. If you drop in the comment section and share the value that you've received from watching this video, I'm gonna shout you out in one of my next videos. And in the meantime, why don't you watch some of these videos that YouTube recommends for you? They know what you like. They've been watching and listening.